This is TWiT.
I think one of the biggest stories of the week, maybe it's my imagination, but I think one of the biggest stories of the week is that Apple is planning to team up with Goldman Sachs to release a credit card. A credit card that will work with your iPhone. Seth, for a long time we've been saying Apple should get in the credit card business. Is this a surprise to you? Is this a good move, you think?
So it's not a surprise. Goldman has a pretty good reputation among the banks. But I'm kind of wondering where they go with it, because at the end, this all ends up being in Apple's coffers, right? Like Apple can team up with any bank and have a credit card, but it's all coming through the iPhone.
So you're wondering why Goldman is doing it?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. I wonder if it's going to be tied to investment accounts or some other play. I don't really understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand why Goldman is in it.
Does Goldman do credit cards? I mean, I know they're an investment banker.
I don't think they do much retail stuff.
Isn't that interesting? But they have the financial services, obviously, to do it, and they have the name to do it. It makes sense for Apple, which is trying to find new forms of revenue outside of selling hardware, right? This is one of those.
Absolutely.
That's how you build this service number, which is almost $10 billion a year already.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Apple knows it's got the gateway to just about everything with the phone. So they're going up and down the value chain, clipping new revenue models. So I don't think that it's surprising at all. But it'll be interesting to see what angle they take here. So
this is a Wall Street Journal scoop from Trip Mickle, Liz Hoffman, and Peter Rudiger. They say the card will be rolled out to employees for testing in the next few weeks, officially launched later this year. The companies hope to lure cardholders by offering them extra features on Apple's Wallet app, which will let them set spending goals, track their rewards, manage their balances. Really, this could be the beginning, and maybe this makes sense, Seth, of Apple as a bank.
Yep. It's kind of what it sounds like, because Apple would be the retail end of Goldman Sachs.
Yep.
And a lot of those services that were just mentioned are available not through Apple, but through,
apps.
Chase.
Yeah, and apps on your phone.
Right. So this would be, I guess, built into your Apple account somehow, or directly into the phone rather than having to have a separate app. I'm not sure. But
and remember, people are already using their iPhones and their watches with Apple Pay.
Yeah.
Which has to be ultimately an important. If you want to make, was it? I can't remember where I heard this. Maybe it was in The Big Short or something. But the best way to make money is not to try to get all the money, but just to take a little piece of every transaction. And that's exactly what this is, right? If Apple's involved in every financial transaction you make and gets a few percentage points on that, that's profit.
That's a lot of money. Yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you get a bank account with your Apple ID. Like every single Apple customer has, a Goldman account, and your default credit card is the Apple credit card, and all these things kind of come together.
This is Goldman's first credit card, but I didn't know this. In 2016, they launched an online bank, Marcus. I'd never heard of this. Marcus, which is still around. And so there's some thinking that maybe Apple, which has a loyal following among wealthy, tech-savvy young adults, could drive customers to the Marcus Bank. Who knows?
I'm wondering if it's like when you buy a car and the loan goes through the bank of the car manufacturer that they want you to have the loan through.
Yeah, GMC. That actually turned out to be a bigger business for GM than selling cars.
Yeah, and they have a higher APR on those things too. So you're paying more to lease or buy a car through them. And I wonder if this is just a way to appeal, like, hey, you're buying all this Apple stuff anyway, so why don't you just have a credit card through us, and then we'll give you all these extra perks.
So Father Robert Ballasser, who's in the chat room, he's not with us anymore. He's gone to a better place, the Vatican. But he says he's had a Marcus account since its inception. How do you How do you like it, Father Robert? No fee personal loan. I'm looking at their website. No fee personal loans, high yield online savings. Wow.
Okay.
APR in a savings account 2.25%. I think I might
Start
move.
saving for that next MacBook Pro.
I have an online only bank. I don't. Who goes into a bank anymore? I use USAA, which is a great company. Well, because they don't have branches, you can use any ATM and they refund the ATM
versus
fee.
Me, where I pay like $4 every time. Yeah.
So I can go to any ATM, get cash out. I can deposit money, checks through my phone. What else do I need to go to a bank for? The cookies? I don't,
They don't give them out anymore.
So
they don't really give out
toasters, nothing.
They don't give anything out anymore. It's sad.
So no fee loans and 2.25% on savings.
Why is Goldman doing it?
The Wall Street Journal says because Goldman's losing money in the investment market.
Yep.
That they're not
got to diversify those bonds.
Exactly.
So they're both basically diversifying, right? Yeah. Essentially, they're both just like trying to get some, I don't know, some money.
Hey,
from
buddy,
somewhere
let's help each other get into the future.
I'm sure Apple would like to do this on their own.
Exactly.
But
you don't have the clout.
Financial services are not something you just kind of waltz into.
You don't just go from Silicon Valley to financial services. It's two different worlds.
Yeah. So I could see maybe if it's a success. Apparently, Goldman's putting $200 million into adding customer support call centers, building an internal system to handle payments, beefing up Marcus. And this is a major investment, said people familiar with the matter, at a time when the bank is trying to cut costs. So it's interesting. I could see Apple maybe saying, well, let's partner. If it goes well, we'll just buy you out. We'll just buy you out.
He got the cash.
Ooh, why not? I bet they're thinking of that. Anyway, this is something we've talked about many times on MacBreak Weekly as if Apple's going to rely on services, what it really means for Apple, since iPhone sales are down, you can't count on Mac or iPad sales to buoy you up. You don't have the next big thing yet. In fact, Apple's even saying this on their analyst calls. It's all about services.
Yep.
What do you do to replace that kind of revenue, which is significant? Banking.
That's why Microsoft is doing so well, because they kind of floated on those services that were working for them, and Apple sees that and is thinking ahead. All right, well, there's only so much more time we have left to make money off of all this hardware. Eventually it's going to stall a little bit because everybody will have their hardware and can't keep upgrading.
No, but that's one more reason.
Slow down.
It's one more reason to buy an Apple Watch and an iPhone is because I do all my banking on it.
Right.
And I can't do that on my Android phone.